Good afternoon, my dear students. Today we are going to study Unit 2, Lesson 8. This is the last lesson in Unit 2. You can open your students book on page number 23. This lesson is a listening task and then speaking. You are going to listen and then speak. If you cannot hear well, I'm going to read the text so that you can answer all the questions. Let's start with this quiz. General knowledge. Only real smart people do well with this general knowledge quiz. Are you one of them? Are you one of the smartest people? Take the quiz. Let's start with this simple question. Who are the Aborigines? Aborigines. Are they the Inuit people, the original inhabitants of Australia, the indigenous people of southern Mexico? Let's start with Ilari.
They are the original inhabitants of Australia.
Yes. Let's check the answer. The Aborigines are the original inhabitants of Australia. Thank you, Ilari. Very good. So, Aborigines are the original inhabitants of Australia.
Aborigine.
Aborigine, 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 a person, animal, or plant that is an inhabitant of Australia. Aborigine. What does the word aborigine mean? Aborigine. Aborigines, first Australians. Aborigine is a Latin word and it means from the beginning. Aborigine. Aborigine originally means at first or from the beginning.
Originally.
Originally. Originally. Originally. From the beginning. In the beginning. At first. Originally. Traditionally, Aborigines were nomadic. They hunted animals with spears. Traditionally, Aborigines were nomadic. They hunted animals with spears.
Traditionally.
Traditionally. Habitually done, used or found. Habitually done, used or found, or in a traditional way. In a traditional way, traditionally. Second question. Who are the nomads? Who are the nomads? Are they owners of horses and camels? Are they hunters who hunt wild animals for their skins? Are they people who travel from place to find food? Mahmoud Muhammad.
People who travel from place to find food.
Very good. Let's check the answer. Thank you, Mahmoud. So the nomads are people who travel from place to find food.
Nomad.
Nomad. Nomad. Nomad. Member of people having no permanent home and who travel from one place to another or place to find fresh pasture, grass for their livestock or animals. Nomad. Aborigines also hunted animals with boomerangs.
Boomerang.
Boomerang. What's a boomerang? It's a carved, flat piece of wood that can be thrown so as to return to the thrower, traditionally used by Australian Aborigines as a hunting weapon. Boomerang. محمد مجدي.
كنت أقول بس المعنى بتاعه.
Yes.
A curved flat piece of wood used for hunting.
Yes. What is the translation word? Can you translate it into Arabic? A boomerang?
قطع خشبية استخدموها في الصيد.
Yes, very good. منير?
قوس خشبي لصيد الحيوانات.
Thank you. Okay. Now, let's have this exercise. Check your understanding for the new vocabulary you studied today and 2 days ago. Breathing space, traditionally, close-knit, nomad, desert, boomerangs. I'll give you 1.5 minutes to choose the correct answer. Fill in the space with words from the list. Ayub.
Teachers shouldn't deal with the low achievers. Traditionally, they need special treatment.
Traditionally. Thank you, Ayub. Very good. Abdurrahman Muhammad Atif.
Events during the Iraqi invasion showed how close-knit our community is. We were all one hand.
Very good. So our community is close-knit. Thank you. Amar Ahmed.
I always take a little breathing space between jobs.
Excellent, Omar. Thank you. Let's see. يوسف علاء. Yes, Yusuf. Yes.
Poor people in Africa.
What do the poor people do in Africa? Their home. What does he do for their homes? Seeking for a better life in America and Europe. So they leave their home in Africa to live in America and Europe. What does he do? Amr Mahmoud.
Desert.
Desert. Thank you, Yusuf. Thank you, Amr. Desert. Yes, they leave their homes to look for a better life in America and Europe. They migrate. Thank you. Abdullah Mustafa Al-Falaki.
Were first used by the people who were living in Australia when Europeans arrived there.
Europeans.
Nomad.
What did they use? Were first used by the people?
Boomerangs.
Boomerangs. Yes, boomerangs. These are weapons that are used for hunting animals. So boomerangs were first used by the people who were living in Australia when Europeans arrived there. But the word nomad, what does it mean? Nomad?
People travel.
People, yes. People who, Abdullah, travel from...
Ride the camel.
Yes. Nomad, people who leave their place they travel from place to another to look for grass, to look after their animals in the desert. They travel using camels. Okay, very good. Please open your Science book, page number 23. Now you are going to listen to a short talk about the Australian Aborigines. Australian Aborigines, people who were the first to live in Australia. Now, to answer these questions, someone is going to give a short talk about the Australian Aborigines. Which of these topics are included? You've got here some topics under the pictures. You have to choose which topics did he mention in the short talk. Then you are going to give a factual talk. You are going to speak about another group. Okay? Please listen to the talk, a short talk about the Australian Aborigines. Which of these topics are included? The Aborigines' history, their music, their traditional lifestyle, their appearance, their situation today, their treatment by the Europeans. Will the speaker mention these topics or not? You are going to tick the topics that he will mention. One of these 6 topics. They can be 2 or 3 or more. Okay? Please listen. Listen to tick the right topics.
(2.3) Page 23. Exercise 1. Today, I'd like to tell you something about the Aborigines of Australia. First of all, How long have Aborigines lived in Australia, and where did they come from? Their story begins 40,000 years ago, when large numbers of people came from Asia to Australia. There were 750,000 of them. They were called Aborigines, which means from the beginning, by the Europeans when they arrived to Australia 200 years ago. Traditionally, Aborigines were nomadic and hunted animals with spears and boomerangs. They travelled long distances looking for food. So, what happened when the Europeans arrived? In general, they treated the Aborigines very badly. The first thing they did was to move them off their land and force them to change their way of life. And what about today? There are now only 250,000 Aborigines. That's 1% of the population of Australia. Their lives are improving because the government has given back some of their lands and set up educational programs for their children.
Now, which of these topics are included in the short talk? Munir.
Yes. The Aborigines history.
The Aborigines history. Okay. Omar Ahmed.
The situation today. Situation today.
Their situation today. Good. Ilari.
Their treatment by the Europeans.
Their treatment by the Europeans. Good. Next. Ayub.
Their traditional lifestyle.
Good. Yusuf. Yusuf صورة مين ده يوسف له يوسف ايه يوسف أحمد السيد. Okay. أحمد السيد.
نعم. Their music.
Did they mention the music? إبراهيم مختار. إبراهيم عبد الناصر. Let's listen again. You are going to listen to me to check which of these topics are included in the short talk. Okay? You can see the text in front of you. Today, I'd like to tell you something about the Aborigines of Australia. First of all, how long have Aborigines lived in Australia and where did they come from? Their story begins 40,000 years ago when large numbers of people came from Asia to Australia. There were 750,000 of them. They were called Aborigines, which means from the beginning, by the Europeans when they arrived to Australia 200 years ago. Traditionally, Aborigines were nomadic and hunted animals with spears and boomerangs. They traveled long distances looking for food. So, what happened when the Europeans arrived? In general, they treated the Aborigines very badly. The first thing they did was to move them off their land and force them to change their way of life. And what about today? There are now only 250,000 Aborigines. That's 1% of the population of Australia. Their lives are improving because the government has given back some of their lands and set up educational programs for their children. So let's check the answer. So which of these topics are included? So the topics are the Aborigines' history, their situation today, their traditional lifestyle, and their treatment by the Europeans. Did he mention music? Ibrahim Abd Nasser?
Their traditional lifestyle.
Yeah, he mentioned their traditional lifestyle. Yes. How did they live? They used to hunt animals using spears and boomerangs. But did he mention the music?
No.
No. Okay. Now, speaking. What are you going to do? You are going to prepare a short talk about one of the tribes or one of the families. مطلوب منك تجهز موضوع تكتبه في ورقة وبعد كده نادي عليك تتكلم في الموضوع ده oral fluency. يختار موضوع. الهوم ورك ده يا شباب مش هيتبعت على الاساينمنتس. You are going to prepare a short talk about one of the tribes أو أحد من القبائل. It can be الصباح family, الرشيدي family, one of your or your own family. Talk about the history of your family. Talk about the history of الصباح family, الرشيدي family, المطيري family, etc. Okay. Talk about their history in the past. Talk about their way of living nowadays. If you want to present a topic, you can use these expressions. Giving information. شوفوا هنا لما محمد مجدي لما قدم الموضوع قال ايه؟ شايف هنا قال ايه؟ I'd like to tell you something about. Today I'd like to tell you something about. دي مش writing لا tell you. I'd like to tell you something about. Asking for information. So he wants to attract the reader by asking questions. What do you know about? What do you know about the Sabah family? What do you know about Saud Abdulaziz family? What do you know about Zayed family? Okay? What do you know? So he wants to attract the reader's attention. Sequencing information. لما تذكر معلومات متتابعة, their story begins. First of all, how long? Next, let's look at. And what about today? And where do they come from? Where did they come from? Finally, I'd like to end with. يبقى استخدم هذه العبارات يا حلوين لما تحكي موضوع أو تتكلم على أحداث تاريخية. هتقول first of all, next, and what about today? Their story begins. And finally, I'd like to end with. You can ask questions to attract the reader's attention. Okay? You are going to give a short talk about a group of people. Decide which group to talk about. حدد انت هتكلم على أي أسرة. Choose a group you know about or find out about a group you are interested in. اختار أسرة أو مجموعة من الناس أنت مهتم بيها أو عاوز تكتشف معلومات عنها. You can choose a group like the Aborigines. Or another kind of group like nomads. يتكلم على البدو. University students, طلبة الجامعة, fishermen, etc. I give you some examples like صباح family, الرشيدي family, المطيري family, your own family. Find information about the group from books, from other people, or from the internet. Make a note of some of the important facts about your group. جمع معلومات أو نقاط حقيقية أو حقائق عن هذه الأسرة أو هذه المجموعة. Think about these questions. Where does the group live now? How does the group live now? Where was the group from originally? Where did they come from? Did they come from Najd, from Riyadh, from Iraq? What was their traditional way of life? How did they used to live in the past? Did they work as fishermen or barrel diving, shipbuilders? And how is their way of life changing? Write these facts in short sentences which you can read or speak easily. The language in the useful language box may help you. ذكرنا العبارات ممكن تستخدمها موجودة فين؟ في اليوسفول language box اللي احنا قلناها. اوكي؟ والأسئلة دي تجهز إجابات ليها. واستخدم هذه العبارات قلنا ايه؟ Their story begins. Next, let's look at. And what about today? Finally, I'd like to end with. First of all, how long and where did they come from? I'd like to tell you something about. What do you know about? يبقى استخدم هذه العبارات لما تتكلم عن موضوع. اوكي يا شباب؟ So, take turns to give your talk to the rest of the group. انت ممكن تبادل معلومات مع زميلك. دلوقتي مثلا ابراهيم هيتكلم عن اسره معينه ومحمد هيتكلم عن اسره معينه، يبادل معلومات والتاني يسال اسئله عشان يقدر يجمع معلومات عنها. Other students should not interrupt the talks. لا تقاطعوا، اعطيه فرصه انه يكمل على طول وبعد كده اساله. could ask the speaker questions after his talk is finished. So when he finishes speaking, you should ask him. Don't interrupt your friends. Discuss any interesting points from each talk. بعد ما يخلص المحادثة ناقشوا في اللي هي النقاط اللي هو جمعها في النقاط اللي عجبتك في الأسرة دي أو المجموعة دي. Okay. The vocabulary we started today. Aborigine, a member of the space or the race of people with dark skins who were the first people to live in Australia. Aborigine. Boomerang, a curved stick that when thrown in a particular way comes back to the person who threw it. Boomerang. Nomad, a member of a group of people who move from one place to another rather than living in one place all of the time. Nomad. Nomads move from place to place. They don't have permanent houses. Originally, first of all, originally, from the beginning, at first. Originally, it was a bedroom, but we turned it into a study. In the beginning, or from the beginning, it was a bedroom, but now we turned it into a study or room. Albert Einstein was American, but he originally came from Germany. His nationality was German, but now he got the American citizen. Traditionally, according to tradition, in a traditional way. Traditionally, the company's main marks have been Britain and the USA. Aborigines were the first people to live in Australia. The boomerang was thrown by Aborigines for hunting. Nomads move from place to place. They don't have permanent houses. Telling stories was traditionally found in the past to spend free time. Who are the Aborigines? Who are the Aborigines? Hazim? Hazim. Who are the Aborigines? Muhammad Majdi.
They are the original inhabitants of Australia.
Yes, very good. The original inhabitants of Australia. Good. The Aborigines led a traditional way of life. How? How did the Aborigines lead a traditional way of life? Hands up. Think. Ilari.
They were nomads. They used boomerangs to hunt animals, and they traveled from place to place searching for food.
Very good, thank you. So they were nomads. They hunted animals with spears and boomerangs. Thank you. I'll give you the chance to get ready for your quiz. Yes, حبيبي.
بقى 5 دقايق الامتحان اطلع ولا
دي واحدة. أنا هقول لك هتطلع دلوقتي. استنى يا إبراهيم. Stop recording.